Hi friends, we're here with Catherine. We have kind of a, I don't know, more of a beginner style instrument. We have actually a couple of those. We've not had student instruments in a while, but this is a Knilling, Knilling, that's just been recently set up, new tailpiece, new strings, and new bridge. So we'll turn it over to Catherine.
So, like John said, this is a starter instrument, and so if you're starting out on violin and you happen to be tall enough or you have long enough arms, this would be an awesome starter instrument or a good one to graduate from a 3/4 violin from. Really depends on the age of the student, the height, and the arm length. Some grow really quick, and you can have them on a full size earlier, and of course some might grow. Some students might grow slow, like a little bit slower than others, and so this would be, good for later on whenever they're ready to go up to a full size. Regardless, it's important for starter instruments to sound a certain way and for them to have a certain quality to them. This instrument has an overall healthy, nice sound, meaning that even with me focusing my bow or unfocusing my bow, it's not going in and out from sounding like a violin to sounding like cardboard. It has a pretty consistent sound and can manage I suppose, an inconsistent bow, as I was experimenting with in that piece from Suzuki Book 4. So in order for someone to want to continue pursuing this instrument, the instrument has to be of, at the very least, decent quality in order for the student to continue to be encouraged to play their instrument. If you're playing an instrument that has a terrible build, or it has a terrible sound, or the wood is not very good quality, it is just incredibly discouraging. And I've seen it happen to a lot of students and a lot of people who don't have a nice instrument or who don't have a decent instrument. They just give up the violin because it's not sounding very good. switch bows in the middle, because all the different type of bow, or I suppose a different material, this being wood and the previous one being plastic, can impact the sound of the instrument. I wanted to see what would come out of the instrument, and the wood bow definitely resonates a lot better with this violin. But this violin has a beautiful bright sound. It's very clear. There's no muddiness to the sound, and it most certainly does not sound like cardboard. And it definitely is a very rewarding instrument, meaning if you put in the effort to, apply certain techniques, it will respond and it will give you feedback, and it will do the thing. And so that's very, very good for a student violin. It's an excellent trait for someone who is learning the instrument, because you need to have that feedback from the instrument. If you are working and you're putting all this work into it, it's not giving anything, obviously it's not good. We don't want that. Dynamic range on it. It can get pretty soft, and then of course it has that nice projective sound to it. So nice dynamic range, and overall it's quite comfortable to play. I'm not feeling any resistance or any weirdness with the neck. Chin rest also feels quite comfortable. In general, the whole setup is it's really, really well set up. Beautiful colors, beautiful stain that it has on here. I don't really see much of what you couldn't want in this student violin. It has really, all of the fundamentals and everything that you need. And of course, if you're wanting, different sounds, if you're wanting different tonalities, like more warmer or more brighter, you can of course always adjust the string, or always ask John to, give a few taps to that sound post. But overall, this is an excellent starter violin, great for those of y'all who are interested in learning the violin.
Absolutely wonderful. And just to touch base on the strings, they're the attained strings, which is probably about the least expensive synthetic violin string you can get into on the market. It has easier starts and easier stops when bowing than steel strings, and produces a bit better. But like Catherine was saying, instant upgrade if you want to splurge and move from a $30 set of strings to $50, $60 up to $80. You'll notice a huge difference. But just to keep all of our starter friends cost effective, this is where we are. So thanks again. Love to hear what you think, and play on, my friends.